This evening, we explore a different side of the Lizzie Borden story. The kitchens, the recipes, and the food that shaped her world. Today, we sit down with author Willard Ford, whose new cookbook blends Victorian New England cuisine with one of America's most enduring mysteries. This is history, storytelling, and true crime, served with a side of Thanksgiving. So, Rich, it's been a great Thanksgiving, but we have a interesting episode, a Thanksgiving special, if you will.
Yes.
Here,
About our two favorite topics,
what's that?
Lizzie Borden
Yep,
and food.
food. Yeah, that's kind of like the theme of the day today,
Yes,
isn't
it is. Thanksgiving brings out that in all of us.
Yep. So, Rich, do you want to introduce our guest
Sure.
today?
I would like to introduce our guest, and he is out in Ohio,
Yep.
and his name is Will Ford, and here's his book. And the title of the book is Someone's in the Kitchen with Lizzie.
Are they?
Welcome, Will.
How we doing?
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I guess we should probably just start with what inspired you to write the book, and being out in Ohio, how did you hear about the case? You know, what was your introduction to Lizzie? And because you took a unique approach to this. Most Lizzie books that we read are, you know, historical novels and whatnot. So it's a bit different. So I'm curious to hear like the motivation that drove the creation of this book.
Yeah, this is Zach before your time. I'm sure Richard would remember back in 1975, the Legend of Lizzie Borden came out with the beautiful Elizabeth Montgomery. I watched it with my grandpa. I was just a little kid, and it fascinated me that this case unsolved for so many years. And then in seventh grade, I read a report about it, and I've always kept that in the back of my mind. Who did it? Who did it? And what was going on in her mind? What was going on in everybody else's mind, and what was happening? And I enjoy cold cases. So, 130 years, give or take, that nobody's been able to solve this. And I had in the back of my mind that I would like to write something about her, but I didn't want to write any of my opinions or this is how I think she did it or she didn't do it. I wanted to put a different twist on it. So I took my interest in the Borden case, my interest in history, and my love for cooking and the culinary arts, and I combined them. And this is the book. This was about a year in the making, but enjoyed every step of it.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned your love for the culinary arts. Are you a chef by trade, or how's that work?
I am not. I like to say that I am a cooking enthusiast, and I'm not a professional historian. I am not a criminologist, or I'm not a Borden expert. I am an enthusiast. So anything that you read is merely Will's take on it.
There you go. It's kind of how I am. I do not know enough to classify myself as a historian. I'm just a guy that sets up microphones and talks into them.
You have a strong curiosity fueled by coffee.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So, Will, I'm curious. Have you, in your research, have you created a theory on what you think happened? We've talked to Stephanie Blakemore, who is on team John and Bridget. We've talked to Faye, who's on team Lizzie and John. We've talked to Cara Robertson, who thinks it's just Lizzie and possibly Abby. No, what was the sister's name? Emma. There we go. See, not an expert. But I'm curious, and Rich is on team John. So I'm curious, like, what corner do you reside in with the theory?
Although I don't mention it in the book, I just say this isn't about theories. This is about New England cuisine at the turn of the century. My theory goes along with Richard's. I believe that John the butcher did it, but I believe even though Lizzie didn't do it, I believe that she was a co-conspirator. I really do.
Very interesting. Rich, I'm going to toss you the question ball here.
I got it. And we've talked about several authors' books, including mine. And in my book, interestingly enough, there are a couple of recipes.
Yep.
Believe it or not. And when Bridgewater State was involved with a project with my book about a decade ago, they actually served one of these recipes at a reception that they did. And supposedly this is supposed to be one of Lizzie's favorite recipes, which was New England gingered pear crisp. And they actually prepared this at the Bridgewater Public Library, and it was excellent. And of course, as we all know, Lizzie had a few pear trees out in her backyard, and they're instrumental in the case because both her and Uncle John refer to being out and gathering pears.
Right.
She before the murder of her father, and he after the murders were over. He suddenly found himself in the pear trees, knowing nothing about what was going on inside the house, which was a gruesome scene of two brutally murdered people. So food and the history of what goes on in the Borden household is paramount in a lot of different stories. You hear the story about the mutton stew and how it spoiled, and that's why people were sick. The people of the household, Mr. and Mrs. Borden and Lizzie and Bridget Sullivan, were all ill on the days before the tragedy on the 4th of August. So food was an important part of the whole story. And I'm glad that Will has brought it out. And I looked through some of the recipes, and some of them I could go for some.
Yeah? Do you have a favorite?
Well, I liked his take on clam chowder. My wife has a recipe on clam chowder, which is a bit different than that. And I would like to compare the two, and maybe I'll do that.
That would be great.
So, Will, now I'm going to ask you, do you have a personal favorite recipe within the book?
I do, and it was actually written by one of Lizzie's friends because she got it off from Lizzie, but it was written in her handwriting and she passed it down through her family. It is Lizzie's meatloaf.
Really? Is there anything special about it for the people at home?
It's made like we normally make our meatloaf. She used crackers. Some people use oats. Some people use bread, but nothing really special. But it was interesting to me that how the meatloaf hasn't really evolved much since the turn of the century.
So there was something that got brought up in Kara's book, and that was that she was eating sugar cookies the day of the crime. Have you heard that rumor? Do you know anything about it?
She was, Lizzie was, according to her testimony that morning, she was in the parlor ironing handkerchiefs, and she had gotten up at 9 a.m. She didn't really want breakfast, so she had sugar cookies and coffee. And I did a recipe. Of course, it wasn't tied specifically to the Bordens, but I called it Emma's Sugar Cookies because of Lizzie and the cookies.
There we go.
We'll have to try those too.
I know. We'll have to make that because we cover Lizzie so much. I feel like I know her.
Yeah, we've done almost 8 episodes on her.
It's been 8 at this point?
I think so. We did 3. You and I did 3, and then we had Karen, and we had Stephanie. And we've had Will. So at least 6 or 7.
6, yeah. Wow, interesting. Do you have a question for Will?
I do. Did you personally make and try all the recipes that you had in your book?
I didn't. The offal, I just had to all those innards, I just couldn't do it. So I just trusted my research. But one of Lizzie's favorite meals that she often had at fine restaurants and hotels was calf's brain with eggs. That doesn't sound remotely delicious to me, but it was one of Lizzie's favorite. And I also thought it was interesting that chop suey, uh, it has a big part to do with Fall River because of the chop suey sandwich. And when I read along the timelines, the Bordens probably enjoyed some chop suey that was made right there in their hometown by
Really?
Chinese immigrants.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, chop suey sandwiches are big in Fall River.
They are?
Or Fall
Yes.
River, as they say.
Sandwiches?
Yes.
I've always just had like American chop suey as like a dish, not like a sandwich. It's interesting. Huh. Oh, okay, yep. Here we go. Sorry, I went out of my head for a second. Rich, you told me a story about how when Lizzie was incarcerated at Taunton State.
Yeah, she was incarcerated at the Bristol House of Correction and jail.
Right.
And she was not in the House of Correction. She was in the jail. And in Massachusetts, there's a difference between those. They can be in the same physical building, but those inmates, those people serving time, are in the House of Correction. And the jail is a place for people that are being held waiting trial, not being able to post bail, escape risk, or something like that. And she was incarcerated in jail for approximately 10 months before her trial the following June in 1893. And while she was there, because she had food there, and while she was there, she, being a woman of means, because her family had money, she was able to sort of order off menu. So she wasn't given prison food or food that was prepared by the institution. She was allowed to obtain food from local establishments in Taunton, and the Hodges Street Jail, that was what that institution was also called because it was on Hodges Street, is only about a block and a half from downtown Taunton. It's not there any longer because House of Correction has moved to another location, a newer location. But in 1892, that was the only location in Bristol County that could house women. They had a women's wing where several people who were incarcerated were being held there. And Lizzie was in jail awaiting trial. At that time, she became friendly with both the warden and the warden's wife, and continued conversations with the warden's wife after she was acquitted. And her name was Abby Wright, and the warden's name was John Wright. And Lizzie visited them after her acquittal.
Wow.
And one of the favorites that her favorite menu item was from a local establishment in Taunton. It was called Henson's Luncheonette. And almost every town in this area, and we're not too far from Taunton, had luncheonettes at one time where people could run in, get something to eat during the midday, and then have their main meal later at night. And one of her favorite meals, one of her favorite desserts was Indian pudding. And she got that at Henson's Luncheonette, and it came over in a little lunch pail and came to the warden's residence, and the warden's wife would say, Lizzie, your lunch is here. And she would sometimes share lunch with the warden's wife, who was sort of the matron of the establishment. And they only had a few female people who were either incarcerated or awaiting trial. Lizzie was the only one that was awaiting trial.
Very cool.
Only female that was awaiting trial.
Huh. So, Will, are any of those recipes in the book? Did you know about this going into this? And I'm just curious, like, how do you, like...
I did.
I'm sorry?
Well, Again, I had to do, it was about a year's worth of research. I'm familiar with what Rich was saying about her catering meals that came in. Let's look at this. She was in jail or prison, as you will, as about as well as Martha Stewart was. She was a woman of means. People knew her, and she wasn't really suffering. So she liked her good food, and
Yeah.
she her creature comforts, and she got them. And that's why people say, "Well, how do you know what Lizzie Borden liked and what she ate?" Because we have people talking about being with her and testifying, and the fact that she said, "I'm not going to have this slop. I'm going to get from my favorite restaurant." She was a foodie.
Yeah.
I definitely believe she was.
So, Rich?
In addition to liking fine food, she also liked the theater and traveled to for both food and for the theater.
That's a great point. Did you include any like abroad meals that she would have had in her travels around Europe? And she went to Rome. Am I
Yeah,
right?
she went all over, made the grand tour of Europe 2 years before the event.
Was it 9 months that she was with her escort?
Yeah, there were 6 women from well, 5 women from Fall River, and they met an ex-teacher, and they went from June until November. The grand tour of Europe, all the major capitals and places to see.
So, were any of the abroad foods inside the book itself?
I think there is a French one, if my memory serves me correct, but I tried my very best to stay within the New England area. So, because she could have got that abroad, of course, but I wanted to concentrate on what were people eating in Massachusetts and in the Boston and in the Fall River and the greater New England place. What were they eating? What was the style? How did they run their kitchens?
So how did traditional Victorian era homes in the late 1890s run their kitchens? Obviously, like it's not how I run my kitchen right now. I have advanced refrigeration where they were relying on ice and
It was a lot of work. Imagine in the heat of the summer, and of course that iconic conversation that people have, how hot it was that August morning when the Bordens were so tragically murdered. But imagine having to build a big fire in your oven, a wood burner, or if you used coal. Imagine having to do that to cook. And it's hard to bake bread or anything with a modern oven because it takes a lot of practice. Just imagine not having a thermometer and just going by feel. Well, that feels like a fast oven, so it's hot enough. Or no, we need a medium oven, so this is how I'm going to bake that. Or baking biscuits. Or it was a lot of work, a lot of backbreaking work, hauling water. Of course, people talk about Andrew Borden being a skinflint, which I've got a whole gripe about that. But the Bordens did have running water.
I'm sorry, you said a what?
A skinflint.
Skinflint.
Oh, here we go with like the chamber pot
Oh, my
stuff.
God.
I don't know
You
what
don't
a
know?
skinflint is.
Oh my God.
Comments, you guys can light me up.
Seth,
Go ahead.
Seth, come on. You don't know what you never
I don't
heard?
know what it is. I'm
No.
sorry.
Well,
We're showing our age.
So educate me a little bit. What is a skinflint?
someone who's a miser.
A
Yes.
mice. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. Now I
Now,
got it.
gentlemen, you tell me, would a miser send his daughter out to a European vacation? They had to do nothing. They were ladies of leisure. They were just expected to do social things, work in the Sunday school, which Lizzie did. She was a Sunday school teacher. She taught Chinese immigrant students. She was a member of the Flower Committee, the Women's Temperance Movement. And I also have a part of the book talking, did they believe no alcohol for drink? Did they use it for cooking? We don't know. But and also two or three seal skin coats or capes. Those were very expensive. Uh, a skinflint or a cheapskate wouldn't have done that. So I think, really think that Andrew and Abby were grossly misaligned.
Rich?
I agree. It's always been said that the crux of this whole tragedy, the double murder of Andrew and Abby Borden, was partially caused by greed of either Emma or Lizzie or both, and I don't think that was the case at all as far as a motive. Andrew was in the process, and this is in the part of the court record that he had planned to move away from Second Street and go up to what we call in Fall River the Hills area, which is uptown and upscale. And he had made inquiries about buying land and was in the process of, with a fellow relative, of purchasing a piece of vacant property up in the hills section of Fall River. So, and I think that both Emma and Lizzie knew that. How does Uncle John come involved with this? Well, Uncle John was away for many, many years and suddenly comes back to Fall River. And there's an absence of Uncle John in the story of about 20 years. When he was there during the Civil War, and that's when his sister passed away. That would be Lizzie's mother. And then he was out west, winded up in Iowa, and him and Andrew Borden got into business of shipping cattle and shipping horses back to Massachusetts, and they were business associates. And that might be part of the reason why this whole thing happened. Not being a miser or a skinflint, or
and it's really rotten, I think. Now, even though Elizabeth Montgomery is my favorite Lizzie portrayal, she really is. That movie took so many liberties, and it was just gross to the victim blaming. Well, since Andrew was murdered. And his daughter could have done it, then he must have been abusing her. Well, since Abby was murdered, she must have been this horrible witch to these girls. That's not fair. There's nothing, any of the evidence that I've read that would even tie Andrew to such debauchery. Abby, even though there's some cases of people saying that Lizzie said, oh, she was a monster, or she told her schoolmaster that she didn't like her, that's stepmother stuff. Abby had friends, she had relatives that she visited. There's nothing to prove that these people were wicked people and deserved to be murdered. And that just kills me how, no pun intended, how they're portrayed in so many books and so many movies.
Now, Rich, I didn't prepare this question. It just kind of came to me while you were telling me about Uncle John and his childhood, Civil War, kind of going further back. Were there any, so like when we go out to eat, if we go out to Mia Ragazza down the street, they have a kids menu. Were there any popular children dishes, or was it kind of just like you eat what the family eats and that's it? Like there was no catering to kids? Like how did the children's diet alter to the parents' diet? Like how was it changed? How was it different?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Children in Victorian times, just like over in England, the same over in New England, they were to be seen and not heard. They were treated like little adults. There wasn't any favor per se to show to them. They ate what they were given, and they were to be grateful for it. So maybe they got some smaller portions, but no, there weren't any children's menus. Sometimes they just the parents would take a little from their plates and feed the younger children, but no, there wasn't any that I've read any kind of special treatment.
That's kind of what I was assuming. Rich, do you have a question for Will?
I do. Are you planning on any other project after this book?
I am working with my wife right now. She's also an author. We are working on another cookbook. It's going to be historically related to. We are working on that. And there is also in my county, there is a movie production company that has started, and they have approached me about possibly doing a Borden themed movie. We used one of the local Victorian mansions to do I don't know if you got a chance to go through some of our photography, but to do some filming there. But all that's in the works, and I'm excited about it.
That is so cool. You know, my next question was going to be about the comic book type photography. It was funny, like when we were initially messaging, I was driving. I was texting at stoplights and texting at red lights and stop signs. I was trying, because I was driving to the gym and I was trying to like work and drive, you know, do
multitasking
while I was listening to Anthony Amore's audiobook. I was doing multiple things at once. And I kind of skipped over the fact in my brain that it was a cooking book at first. And I didn't know, or I didn't remember that it was a cooking book until I had gotten the book. And I was under the impression, maybe I misread, that it was a comic book. So I was like, oh, he used real like life people and photographs to make a comic book. That's really cool. And then when I got the cooking book, I was like, I got to go back and reread these messages. So I went back and I reread the messages. I'm like, this is really unique.
This is even more cool.
Yeah, I'm like, this is totally unique. I did not expect it. It was like because I was kind of expecting like a children's book, but where like, you know, a children's book might not be useful to me. This can be useful to me, and I can try to recreate some of this. And like, it was totally unique, and I appreciated it even more when I had realized that I misread the initial messages between us. So I was going to ask. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to ask about the mansion, the photography. Where did you get the idea to use that avenue in that aspect?
Some of our dear family friends, Susan and Donald Morgan, own and restored the Haslett Mansion in Wellston, Ohio. It was owned by a very rich gentleman at the turn of the century, and they restored it, and we took pictures. Of course, the Bordens didn't live in a mansion, but they have the Haslett Mansion with some original furniture, and we took some pictures in the ballroom, and Lizzie eating a peach out in the barn there that they have, and some other good friends of mine. Everett Reeves is a professional photographer. He did the photography, and his wife Christy is an art therapist. She did the kind of tongue-in-cheek artwork for us, and the Morgan Boggs family came in and portrayed the Borden family, and 90-year-old Mel Christian played Andrew for us, and he was just so glad to do it, and I think he was spot on in those pictures.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting, and I enjoyed looking at it. I have a couple of friends that own different Victorian mansions, and it's like they're just absolutely gorgeous. There's one down the street. There's a few in the hometown. That main street, Union Street, has all different. I call them the Union Street mansions. There's like 7 or 8 of them. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they're all neighbors. And Rich and I drive by it to go to work every day, so it's really unique.
We don't live there.
No. We don't live there.
I also would like to tell you, Zach, that for this month and into the holidays, I'm going to be putting the cookbook on sale. So instead of its regular price, it's going to be $10 I'm going to reduce the price there on Amazon. So it makes a perfect gift for the historian in your family, the foodie in your family, or the morbidly curious. It will just make a great gift for any of them.
Absolutely.
Now, will we be posting that on our website?
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, all the latest episodes, like the interviews and stuff like that, always go on the website, and that leads directly to YouTube, and people can, navigate the description and the pinned comment. All the links are always there for people to check out. And if I'm not mistaken, it's through Amazon, right?
That's correct.
And Amazon, I use Amazon daily at this point. I use it as my primary shopping tool, so it's always a secure link.
Well, I'm going to put the book up. I hope you can see it, Will. If you can, then everybody else can.
There we go. So yeah, Will, if you ever have any further projects, I know you're a writer. I'm just curious. What else have you written? Do you have any other books that are out that might be of interest?
That was my first book, actually. I have some in the works, and it just seems like when you get a book in your mind, it writes itself. I know Rich could probably testify to that. It just comes to you like, I'm going to be written, and this is what you're going to write.
Now, to someone that might be a listener of the show who either has some experience cooking, nothing like semi-professional or professional, what mindset should they have going into some of these recipes?
These aren't five-star Michelin recipes. They're easy. They're home cooking that anybody could do, from beginner to a professional chef. They're easy. They're some of the beloved foods in the New England area, like the brown bread and the Boston baked beans and Lizzie's favorite orange sherbet. Just a lot of easy recipes that you can make, and you're tasting history, taking a bite of history.
So cool. Well, I really appreciate you mailing us a copy of the book. And Caroline and I, the girlfriend, have been talking. We're probably gonna do like a behind the scenes episode. I'm in the process of drafting like a behind the scenes YouTube channel. And her and I are gonna try to make some of the recipes, make a video on it and stuff like that. So I'll be absolutely sure to give you credit, links, and stuff like that in the description, and send some traffic your way. I think it'd be a really fun part.
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I again, thank you for reaching out to us. Rich.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I want to thank you, Will, for being with us today on Thanksgiving, and we wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, and all of our viewers who are faithfully watching us and feeding us your comments. We got some interesting shows coming up in the future, and I want to wish everybody who follows us a very happy Thanksgiving.
And so our upcoming episode, the one on Saturday, is going to be with author Anthony Amore.
That should be an interesting.
I'm very excited for that episode.
About the Rembrandt heist at the Massachusetts Museum of Fine Arts.
Yep, and his personal history with Miles Connor, his journey meeting him, and the conclusion of how that whole case went down. It was truly fascinating, a great read. So that'll be taking place on Saturday, and that will be out on Sunday for you guys at 9 a.m. every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. But yeah, thanks for coming by, Rich, Will, for this special Thanksgiving episode. I figured that this would, like, all the stars sort of lined up correctly for this one, where it was like food related and it was the Thanksgiving episode. I'm like, perfect.
And we have a week after that, we have Eli Frankel is scheduled, and we'll get an update on how well his new book is doing. And
I can't wait to see that.
And he's going to be joining us when we do our episode on the Night Stalker.
Yep.
And he's from out in the California, Los Angeles area, and he has some insights into the case, which will be very, very interesting to hear from him, and looking forward to hearing from him again and see how his new book is doing.
So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. I know 86% of you, I checked the stat the other day, 86% of our viewers are not subscribed. This channel could go crazy if we had all the rest of you guys here. So if you guys are interested in seeing more interviews with different authors and different historical cases, be sure to stay tuned and check out the website, the SethRzewskiPodcast.com. All of the links are there. And if you have something you want to talk about with us, there's an email link right there so you guys can send us all emails and whatnot.
Oh, and if M. Menino is watching this.
Yes, if Menino, you got to contact us. We have your book scribed out and ready for you. We're going to mail it out for winning the contest.
The contest, the age difference contest.
Yes. But thanks, guys, for joining us on this Thanksgiving special. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will.
My pleasure.
We'll see you guys Sunday at 9 a.m. with Anthony Amore. Bye,
Thanks.
guys.